4 days from now, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi is scheduled to face the Enforcement Directorate in the Associated Journal Young Indian case as Congress MP prepares to answer ED questions on allegations of amassing disproportionate income and then concealing that income in his IT returns when he was one of the directors of Young Indian. His party members are gearing up to hit the streets in protest. Come Monday, Congress leaders will be staging nationwide protests. Why, you ask? To give moral support to the Gandhi scion, who according to them is being hounded by the central agencies. The BJP is now citing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's example when he was the CM of Gujarat. They are reminding the Congress that 12 years ago, Modi appeared before an SIT that was probing the 2002 riots. The head of the probe team, RK Raghavan, has recalled the 9-hour-long marathon questioning where Modi answered over 100 questions. Now, the question being asked is that the Congress, is it scared? Is that what is compelling them to resort to grandstanding on the streets? And why is it when the sitting chief minister of a state can submit himself for questioning before an SIT that Rahul Gandhi's party wants to give him this kind of shield?
We want to stand by our leader. We know he's being hounded. We know our leadership is being hounded by the BJP because the BJP is afraid of the Gandhi family, and we've seen this happening ever since they've come to power. So yes, we want to stand by the truth. We want to stand by our leaders.
When summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald case, both Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, instead of cooperating with the law, have now resorted to excuse-making and confrontation. As Rahul Gandhi, on the date of his summoning, has now summoned the MPs of Congress party so that they protest and do confrontation instead of cooperation.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
RP Singh, national spokesperson of BJP, joins us along with Priyanka Tibrewal, lawyer. We also have Kapil Madan and Dr. Sumanth Raman, both political analysts. Dr. Sumanth Raman, it's a process. Why this entire march?
Padmaja, is it not obvious that the Congress party has very categorically called this a witch hunt and politically motivated case? Now, they are organizing a peaceful protest march on the day that Mr. Rahul Gandhi faces the questioning from the ED, just to let the public know what they feel is their point of view on.
But how do you know that this is a witch hunt?
Well, how long has this case been going on?
Okay.
It's been going on for years and years. Nothing has been found.
So you're saying
nothing has been.
So you're saying that the ED is basically a handmaiden of the government?
Caged parrot. What did the former CBI director say about his agency?
He said that about the CBI. He said that about the CBI.
Whether it's the ED,
this is the ED.
Whether
Okay,
it is
great.
the CBI, whether it is the income tax, they are pretty much caged parrots.
Really? Now, interesting anecdote. Let me narrate to you an interesting anecdote from the 26th of November 2021. Just a second, Dr. Sumanth Raman, since we're talking about the ED and what the Congress thinks of the ED as a caged parrot, 26th of November 2021. Enforcement Directorate raided 8 places across Punjab in connection with money laundering case against Surinder Pal Singh Pahalwan, former chief engineer and somebody close to the Badal family. Congress hailed the action. Punjab Congress President Navjot Singh Sidhu and Charanjit Singh Channi welcomed the timely action by the Enforcement Directorate. मतलब बादल के ऊपर action हो, then ED is a stellar organization. But the moment it happens to Rahul Gandhi, then ED is caged parrot. Why, sir? The parrot is flying in case of Badal, but parrot gets caged in the case of Rahul Gandhi. You can't have this differential treatment of parrots.
No, every political party has no problem when their rivals are raided.
Exactly.
The point is, one second, you answer my question. Take this case. When was this case filed? What has happened in this case over the last 5-6 years?
That doesn't matter,
since
sir.
This case has been, it does matter.
It takes its own course. Now you want me to take you through the timeline of the case against the Badals and the raids? That also took several years. But the Congress found it absolutely outstanding. The thing is,
today people don't want the law to take its course. They want justice to be done.
What is justice?
Nobody wants the law not taking its
Justice
course.
will be done
An
when Mr.
ominous
Gandhi
meaning in this
appears.
country. Every criminal comes, smiles in front of the camera and says law will take its own course,
Then, but
knowing that they are very likely to get away with it.
Okay, RP Singh, you have already proven a sad track record, which is why the Congress is doing a peaceful pradarshan. Why are you so uppity about it, RP Singh?
I have to give the answer in two parts. One is that they are out on bail. If there's a case which has been put on them wrongfully, then they could have gone to the court to get it quashed. Then they took a bail in that case. One. Secondly, it reminds me of the Egyptian pharaohs when they used to take people along with them. There's something like that. And in Hindi, when we say Ali Baba 40 chor wala kahawat hai, bhai, you tell us the root of the complete thing. The root is that money which was collected on name of the donations by the poor, and then people would have donated 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 100 rupees to Congress party. You took that money in your company and bought a company which has worth thousands of crore rupees. This is the story. Now, ED want to put everything together. So what's wrong in it? And
What is wrong in it? And again, what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. Let me quote to you just a very recent example. BJP leader and businessman Mohit Kamboj has been booked by the Maharashtra government in a fraud case, and he had to apply for anticipatory bail. Everyone hailed it. Again, in another case, you have in Maharashtra again, you have a case of disproportionate assets being filed against former Maharashtra BJP MLA Narendra Mehta and his wife. This was done by the Anti-Corruption Bureau. So when you do it in Maharashtra against BJP guys, Kapil Madan, it's absolutely fine. But when ED does it, supposedly it is a witch. We can keep going back to a number of these examples.
So Padmaja ji, I heard Mr. RP Singh and was saying that you should get it quashed. So it is a case where, the pot is calling the kettle black, and I'll give you an example of it. Now, if you see what happened in the recent part in Tejinder Bagga's case, Tejinder Bagga was arrested by Punjab police. Why they were on the streets? Why they were on the street? Every single leader was standing by Tejinder Bagga, and Mr. RP Singh was also there. So the fact of the matter is, if a person or a party believes that any action against their leader is wrong, is motivated, is happening in a mala fide manner, there would be show of support, there would be show of strength.
Okay,
now,
go on. RP Singh, because this is about you, this is directed at you, answer this.
I have another point to make.
Okay, very quickly let him respond to the point you made about him protesting for Mr. Bagga. Go on, RP Singh.
No.
Let Mr. Singh respond at least, because then we'll go on and on. Quickly respond.
Let him make the point. Let him make the second point also.
Very quickly, RP Singh, make your point, please.
Please. No, very simple. Here they are out. Bagga was being kidnapped by the police. Here they are out on bail. They went to court. They seek bail. And this is the difference. And again, I'm saying, tell me, will Congress party give me 90 crore rupees to buy a company? Will Congress party give me 90 crore or Kapil Madan 90 crore to buy a company? And that too company led by family of Kapil Madan.
जवाब नहीं है आपके पास, जवाब नहीं है आरपी सिंह जी आपके पास. आप होने देते इन्वेस्टिगेशन, जाने देते बग्गा को पंजाब के अंदर.
अच्छी कपिल मदान, आप पढ़े लिखे वकील आदमी हैं, अच्छी बात नहीं है. मैंने टोका आपको क्या?
प्रियंका टिब्रेवाल.
और मैं आपको एक और बात बताता हूँ.
एक सेकंड, प्रियंका टिब्रेवाल.
के बारे में बात करी.
आपका हो गया तो मैं
आपकी
प्रियंका टिब्रेवाल.
डेलीगेशन है कर्नाटका में.
I do not really appreciate Congress spokesperson mentioned here regarding the timing and duration, because he should be well aware when you are questioning or when a case is of a disproportionate asset. If we see in the past, there was a case of Jayalalitha, which started sometimes in the year 91 and 96. And the accused was convicted sometimes in 2017. So law takes its own course and it takes time. And they should have belief in the law of the land, because here we believe in the maxim that, maybe 100 of people can be acquitted, but an innocent shouldn't go behind. So if Rahul Gandhi and the family is innocent, why are they so petrified? Why aren't they facing the law? Why aren't they facing the investigation? They are on bail, and whatever display they are doing today is complete psychopathy. With this display of strength, you tell me, did Tejinder Bagga or the BJP tell anyone that you please come on the streets and support me. No, it didn't. And whatever political vendetta they are claiming today is completely, there is no, it's completely passively absurd.
Kapil Madan.
You are questioning the ED and the
It takes time. The point made about Jayalalitha. Kapil Madan.
Let me respond. Let me respond to her. This particular case registered by the ED was registered in 2014. We are in 2022. The alleged transaction happened in 2012. If you are not able to complete the investigation in 8 years of time, then I don't know what to say about your capability.
And
it shows only two things.
Who will decide
It shows
that?
you want to keep the pot simmering. You want to keep the pot. You don't want conclusion either ways. If you have evidence, you file a complaint. You don't do that. You don't close the ECIR. You want to claim.
The case of Jayalalitha was in 91 and final conviction was in 2017.
Just politics around it. You just want to get political mileage out of it.
Okay, this is political mileage. Again, we can keep going on and on quoting cases. This same income tax department, by the way, Sumanth Raman, you would remember, suddenly 2012, cases of Purti were lodged against Nitin Gadkari. That there is disproportionate assets, there's malfeasance on the part of Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Till the time that the UPA was in power, even in its last breaths in 2013-14, they kept issuing summons to Nitin Gadkari and the case went nowhere. Why? Why didn't they arrest him?
How many years?
Kapil Madan is saying, you do it quickly. If they had evidence against him, instead of summoning him, why didn't they arrest him? Where is the evidence?
1 second. How many years were the cases pending against the Purti group?
But then they went out of power.
No, second point. This is a case of money laundering without money. It's an incredible case. There is no, I don't know whether you saw the statement Mr. Chidambaram had put out. How can there be money laundering without money?
But sir, that is not for you to decide. That is for the courts to decide. RP Singh wants to respond.
I agree, but the point is the reason that this
for
matter has
Sumanth
gone
Raman,
on and on.
No, for Sumanth Raman, 90 crore is no money. Because the poor man money was donated to Congress party because they were in power.
Sir, what is the case? Please explain now. What is the money laundering charge here?
To Congress party.
Tell me, sir.
And that
Tell me, sir.
90 crore rupees money was transferred to the company owned by the Gandhis. And then
No. Who transferred the money? Who transferred the money? Who transferred the money? Tell me. How much money was
Dr.
transferred?
Dr. Sumanth Raman, it's a fact that these cases are so old and so layered that neither can you nor RP Singh nor I or anyone sit on TV in a 20-minute debate and decode it. The point is that to have a protest like this or a show of strength on the streets, if you have an SIT that has questioned the then Chief Minister Narendra Modi for several hours and made him answer 100 questions, surely the former Congress president can also submit himself to similar scrutiny and questioning without making it seem as this giant, crushing of democracy. I'm going to leave it at that. We'll, of course, be focused on what happens on Monday when Mr. Gandhi appears. For the time being, thank you very much, gentlemen. Priyanka Tibrewal for joining me.